Joel Miller versus Arthur Morgan. Two men who are lethal killers and dangerous fighters. While one's been hardened by the zombie apocalypse and the other by the wild western frontier, they've both been transformed into one-man armies. But they're forced to fight each other. Well, who's going to be the last one standing? Really, is it even close? Let's get into it. Joel Miller is a survivor in post-apocalyptic America, after the world's been ravaged by the cordyceps virus, transforming basically everyone into bloodthirsty zombies. After losing his daughter Sarah during the outbreak, Joel became a ruthless and cynical smuggler, before eventually being tasked with smuggling and protecting Ellie, a young girl who might just be the key to mankind's survival. Along the way, well, Joel rediscovered what it means to be a father. As a hardened survivalist, Joel displayed terrifying intensity, strength, cunning, and fierce fist-fighting prowess. He could outbrawl and overwhelm opponents half his age with just a few punches. He could literally beat people to death with his hits. Same applying to the infected too, just turning their heads into mush with his bare hands. It's to the point where people are terrified to face off against Joel, either running away or begging for their lives when he's coming. And for good reason too. Joel is strong enough to take down a bloater, which is simply a machete. Joel's also super tough. He just refuses to quit. He's taken car crashes, some pretty big falls, and brushed off all sorts of attacks. Really up to the point where Joel can be tackled and knocked around by runners and bloaters. He survived being shot, and of course, survived being impaled all the way through, although that one really did nearly take him out. Joel's not just a dangerous and ruthless fighter, but he's also an expert at using a whole bunch of different weapons, ranging from handguns to rifles to bows, all of which were just absolutely lethal in his hands. He's also really skilled with all sorts of different melee weapons, but prefers to use his machete if he's got one available. And worst comes to worst, Joel's also an expert at crafting weapons on the fly. And not just melee weapons either. He's actually regularly building explosives or Molotov cocktails, all of which he's more than willing to use in fights. With his decades of survival and fighting experience, Joel has actually proven himself to be quite a tactician. While Joel can overcome overwhelming odds just by running headfirst into and beating everyone, well, he can also definitely be covert when he wants to be. He's surprisingly stealthy, can regularly take out skilled survivors with sneak attacks, and actually always has a pretty good idea of what's happening around him just by focusing in on noises. End of the day, Joel is one of the best survivors in any zombie apocalypse out there, and a true force to be reckoned with. Arthur Morgan is one of the Van der Linde gang's most notable members, is Dutch's toughest, most dependable, and accomplished follower. He's always ready to do whatever's necessary to support the group, but underneath it all, well, Arthur Morgan is a good man. Arthur's widely regarded as the single most dangerous member of the gang, feared by allies and foes alike as its primary enforcer. With good reason, the man is an absolute beast. Arthur is strong enough to send people flying with his punches, easily kill men with his bare hands. It even extends up to the point where Arthur is able to fight wolves, cougars, bison, or grizzly bears with just his fists and actually win the fight, killing the animals, and then just walk it all off like an absolute champ. The guy's a menace. Not even kidding, Arthur's strong enough to push back grizzlies and overpower cattle and bison in a tug of war. He's basically superhumanly strong. Arthur's also equally just as tough. The man is a brute, has basically superhuman stamina. He can survive gunshots and explosives, can walk off getting mauled by wild animals, can casually take punches from other people and keep on fighting for hours on end or when seriously wounded. He survived severe torture and punishment by the O'Driscolls, still had enough in him to escape and kill every single O'Driscoll along the way, even as he's dying from tuberculosis, while Arthur just channels his inner Doc Hudson, keeps on going, fighting and killing everyone in his way and beating Micah with his last dying breath. Arthur's also one of the best gunslingers in the West, an expert with pretty much any weapon that he can get his hands on, and with Deadeye, well, Arthur has an edge in all gunfights. Deadeye allows Arthur to send time to a crawl and basically see the world in slow motion, expertly picking out shots to either cripple or kill his opponents. He tends to use Deadeye in every fight he finds himself in, whether he's confronted by guards, facing off with expert gunslingers, or fighting off swarms of Pinkertons. Even when outnumbered, well, Arthur's never gonna back down. He won't surrender, has no problem fighting dirty if he needs to. He always carries all sorts of weapons on him, ranging from revolvers, bows, lassos, knives, shotguns, rifles, machetes, and tomahawks, even dynamite sticks, and plenty more. End of the day, Arthur Morgan is the epitome of the Wild West, an expert in surviving in the wilderness, hunting legendary animals, a lethal marksman with all sorts of guns, and a ruthless brawler. So, who wins? Well, let's break it down. Now, these are two ruthless fighters and killers. Both of them are able to take on whole swarms of men, beat them all with ease, essentially making each of them a one-man army. And really, there are two ways to look at this fight: melee fights and guns. In my opinion, Arthur's absolutely dominating in both of these. That's not taking anything away from Joel. He's like the quintessential zombie apocalypse survivor. He's basically superhuman along with it. I mean, he's strong enough to kill people and the infected with just his bare hands. Has absolutely no problem fighting dirty to do it, beating things that can't feel pain and killing them with just a few hits. But compared to Arthur, well, that just isn't gonna cut it. Because not only can Arthur kill people with just a few punches too, but he can beat grizzlies to death with his bare hands. Joel can't do that. Yeah, he can beat a bloater, but he can't beat a bloater by just punching it. Arthur's the stronger one out of the two. But even more than that, he's the tougher one out of the two. Joel's able to take a lot of attacks and keep on fighting, but it just pales in comparison to everything that Arthur's doing. He's just on a whole other level. And while Joel was laid up for weeks by being pierced with the rebar, nearly dying because of it, well, Arthur was literally on his last breath, dying from tuberculosis, and still went out there guns a-blazing, shooting down everyone in his way, and literally beating Micah. And Micah's no pushover. He should comfortably scale to a lot of what Arthur and Joel can do. So genuinely, you could argue that Arthur could beat Joel to death at his absolute weakest and lowest moment, much less at his best. And in a gunfight, well, it's not any closer. In fact, it's much, much worse. Because Deadeye is just a broken ability for Arthur in this fight. But even outside of Deadeye, well, this is just what Arthur does. He's a gunslinger through and through. He's way faster on the draw, has way better reaction time, will have riddled Joel with bullet holes before Joel can even get his gun up and ready. There genuinely is no other way this could go. Arthur simply has Joel dead to rights. I love both of these characters and I love both of these games, but for me, this one's pretty simple. Arthur Morgan wins, and it's not even close.